Hi everybody, my name is Andrew Steinmetz and I will be doing the weekly screencast for Team Aachen in this final week of SER 415. So for week 7 we did have one more meeting than usual, bringing us up to 3 meetings in this week. So for that first meeting we had just received all of our feedback from all of the reviewers, so we had gone through all of that and kind of picked out the details that need to be tweaked in our documentation. For the most part, the reviews were fairly positive, just a few details that needed to be more clear for the reader. And then for the next meeting, we were to categorize all of the requirements just to make it a little bit more organized and easier for the reader to understand. And then also figure out which of those use cases we needed to formalize. And also complete the Z notation before our next meeting. And in that last meeting was really just kind of ironing out all of the details, making sure everything is good to be turned in for our final deliverable. And then we also added the last to have traceability in our requirements, which I will show you in just a minute how we did. So if you go to iteration 5 reviews, you can see all of the different reviews from our reviewers. And like I said, for the most part, it was very well received. A lot of people said it was organized. At the bottom here, though, you'll see a compiled questions that we put together based off the reviews. And the overall consensus is that there was a couple of things that needed to have more details spelled out. Like one, for example, is like what kind of notifications will the system display to the user? It was just very generic, so we like ironing out, like, is it going to be SMS? Is it going to be a native notification to the user? Just explaining that a little bit more in our documentation. And then if you go under iteration 6, this is our final deliverable. So our product scope, description, estimated costs, possible risk, elicitation techniques have pretty much all stayed the same, been finalized for the past couple weeks. Our vision doc did not change too much. As you can see here, we did make a couple changes, but that was really just to finalize our draft and tweak a few things here and there based off the feedback from our reviewers. And then in the use case catalog, a couple of the things we added were the Z notation. So we picked 4 of them. One of them, for example, is on the second use case. And we just wrote it under post conditions if it was picked. And then continuing onward, our activity diagrams did not change too much. We did get one feedback from the reviewers that there was a mistake at the bottom here. This dot was actually one of these X's, so we had switched it to a final state instead. And the rest of the activity diagrams have pretty much stayed the same. And then for the software system requirements, this is where we had actually decided to separate them into categories just so it looks a little bit more organized. So you can see here we have client user interface, server, and hardware as well. And then that last step that I mentioned was adding traceability to our requirements. So just to ensure that each of these requirements were actually getting tracked and traced by somewhere in our documentation, we had simply added a use case to each of the requirements by putting them in these brackets. So that is the final deliverable for Team Aachen. Have a good day.